We had an
It's just recording. Okay. Sorry about
All right, and did the agendas get, people got agendas? Okay. You have them, thanks, Lisa. I thought, oh, are we out already? Well, thank you for coming. This is our first Family Association meeting of the year. It's our general meeting. We do one every month, well, almost every month, 3 in the fall and 3 in the spring. So, this is our first one. If you have questions, feel free to ask them at any time. We're also going to have somebody monitoring the chat on Zoom. So you folks on Zoom, feel free to type in a question or pipe up if you're not muted, and we'll make sure that that question gets relayed to the rest of us. What I'd like to do is just run around really quickly and have folks say who they are, and if you have however many kids you have here, let us know what grade your students are, and if you are a class representative. Did you have? Oh, I thought you were raising your hand. Sorry, Lisa. And if you're a class representative or a committee chair or in some way involved in our extended leadership group, if you would go ahead and highlight that as well so people know who you are. So I'll start, and I am Kelly Voyages, and I am the president of the Family Association this year, and I have a 10th grader here.
Thank you so much. Am I all good? Thank you.
Someone needs to meet her. I'm Tanis. I'm the volunteer coordinator for the FA exec committee. I have a 9th grader and a 6th grader, both boys at the school.
I'm Jill Jordan Spitz. I'm secretary, and I have an 11th grader.
I'm Margaret Cohen. I'm the treasurer this year, and I have a 6th grader and a 9th grader.
Okay, I'm Josie Campbell, and I have a 10th grade.
Maggie Brooks, band chair, and I have a 9th grade.
Layla Arbab, 9th grade rep, and I have 3 boys, 8th grade, 9th grade, and 6th grade.
My name is Christina Grossman. I am the Homecoming Festival Chair for the Family Association, and I have a 10th grader, a 9th grader, and a 6th grader.
Good morning, I'm Cece Alter. I have a 10th grader here. I'm also the board president this year. I'm Amy Seger, and I'm the interim head of school.
Teresa Osborne, I'm one of the 6th grade room parents, and I also have a 6th grader.
Jim Murdoch, 9th grader.
Melissa Gifford, same 9th grader. I'm Sabrina Jeffrey, and I have an 11th grader here, and I'm co-chair of the Farmers Market Committee.
Hi, I'm Anthony Rousseau, director of the Fab Lab, and I'm a 6th grader.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Stern, parent, and I have an 11th grader. Good morning, Georgina Meisman. I have 3 boys, 10th grade and 2 7th graders.
Julie Andrews, I'm the 9th grader.
Molly said I have a junior.
I'm Carla Louie. I'm one of the 6th grade parent reps, and I'm a 6th grader.
I'm Steve Pfister. I have a 6th grader. I'm George Sarah. I have a 5th grader.
I'm Alejandro Valida. I have a 7th and a 9th grader.
I'm Iris Madrigal, and we share the same thing.
Scott Turk, and I have a different 9th grader.
Zach, co-8th grade rep, and I'm
Daniel, and I have a 7th grader.
My name is Mariah. I have a 9th grader. Katrina, and I have a 7th grader.
I'm Liz, and I have a 9th grader and a 7th grader.
I'm Barbara Lindbergh, and I'm in the admissions office.
I'm Mary Beth, I'm the CFO.
Allison Jacobs, the Understand Division Head.
Sarah Michelle, and I'm the 3rd grader.
I'm Amanda Huff. I have a 9th grade stepson.
And
Lisa, you're up.
Oh, sorry. I'm Lisa Condra. I'm the director of division in community engagement.
who do we have online with us?
Our online friends, would anyone like to introduce themselves? Nancy?
Oh, I'll introduce myself.
Okay.
I'm Gabby Lehman. I also have a 9th grader, so it sounds like the whole grade is here.
Hi, my name's Nancy, and I have a 10th grader and an 8th grader.
Who's next?
I'm Chad Viscusi. I have a 6th grader and brand new to the Gregory School.
Welcome.
Anyone else online?
My name is Darcy and I have a senior.
My name is Gina Gant. I have 2 10th graders and an 8th grader, and I am the athletics point of contact.
All right, is that everybody online? All right, thanks for being on, everybody.
Okay, thank you. It's so great to have you guys here. This is such a great group. So if you're new to the Gregory School, or if you haven't been involved with the Family Association in the past, just to give you a little snapshot of what the Family Association is. If you're coming from another school, you're probably familiar with a PTO or an FFO or a PTA, and this is the Gregory School version of that. So our whole goal is to connect families across the school community, and we do that with fun events like homecoming, which Christina will be talking about in a little bit. We do it with meetings like this so that you can learn what's going on and have an opportunity to interact with other families. And then we also do staff appreciation and support throughout the year. And you'll learn more about those opportunities, some today and others as the year progresses. So I just want to thank everybody who's here. We've got our executive team here, but you're all members of the Family Association just by attending the Gregory School. But as you've seen, we have a little bit of an extended leadership team. So we have some of our committee chairs here. Thank you for coming. And we have some of our class representatives here. And if your class representative is here, feel free to introduce yourselves. We've had a few of our class representatives who have already organized some back to school get-togethers, and we have some in the works. So feel free to talk to your class rep if they're here, or if you're still not sure who that is and you'd like to connect with them, just let us know, we can do that. I think we've had 5th and 6th grade do their gatherings already, and I believe that 9th and 11th are in the works at the moment, just to give you a heads up. So just quickly, we have some guest speakers today. So we have Amy Seger here, our head of school, interim head of school. We have Ashley and Saul Ostroff who will be coming in to talk about the counseling department in a little bit. And we have Cece, our representative from the Board of Trustees, who will also be talking for a little bit. So I'm just going to go through a little bit of business quickly so that we can move on to some of the other things that people want to share. And you guys just stop me if somebody needs to type up from there, okay? I apologize. Hopefully next time we'll be able to have the folks who are on Zoom up on our screen. So the first order of business would be to approve our April minutes. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at them. They were in a link in the email that we sent out, and we had some copies up here. But if you've had a chance to at least skim through those, can I get a motion to approve? Josie, can I get a second? Second. Christina seconds. And minutes from this meeting will be posted to our website, and they'll be approved next meeting. And then we'll also, of course, post this video. Margaret, we're going to go to Margaret for a treasurer's report.
Sure. Hello again. Because we're at the very beginning of the year, we don't have too much to report in terms of actual sort of expenditures that have happened yet. So I just wanted to say a couple of quick words, especially for folks who are new to the school, but also just as a reminder to everyone. Kelly mentioned that our organization, the FA, is sort of like a PTA or PTO or other things that you might come from at other schools. But unlike a lot of PTAs, we collect no dues. So our funding comes to us as a pot of money from the operating budget of the school, which is incredibly fortunate and generous. We are really lucky that we don't have to sort of hound people for dues or kind of be indebted to that. It's, I think, representative of how much the events that the FA does throughout the year and the other activities that the FA does throughout the year is valued by TGS. So it's a really great setup for us. So that's just a little bit about where our funding comes from. And it also means that we are never fundraising. So when we do ask throughout the year, occasionally for donations, often those are in kind. We often ask for different kinds of food items to be brought in. Occasionally we do ask for money because we're going to use it for a particular thing. All of those donations are directly linked to whatever event is happening. So we're never looking just to raise money for its own sake. We're always putting any kind of donation, as well as our budgeted money, directly into all of the events, all the teacher appreciation, all the things that happen in the community throughout the year.
Thank you. If anybody has any questions, feel free. And you guys, any questions that come up, if you don't feel comfortable asking them, you can always email us at fa@gregoryschool.org.
Hello.
So, okay, one quick note about, for those of you who might recall, at our registration table, we had an informal survey on the big easel. So I wanted to share on the back of your agenda, you'll see the results from that survey. And I just wanted to kind of whip through one, the where and when should FA meetings be held? What you see here explains why we're doing what we're doing today with trying to record and Zoom at the same time that we're holding an in-person meeting, and why we're going to hold an in-person or a Zoom meeting in the evening next month. And then the following month, we'll do another in-person. We're trying to meet everybody's needs. We know we can't satisfy everybody all the time, but we're going to do our best to, at the very least, get recordings up on our website so that folks can listen to them later if they don't have the opportunity to attend at the time they're scheduled. And then the second part of that survey was what kind of events folks would like to see this year. And you can see it's pretty well distributed across the types of events. And I think that we probably have most of those covered. Parents at school, we have events like this. School administration will also have events for parents at school. Parents off campus, that is probably something that you'll see more from your class representatives and other parents organizing that type of activity. And then family at school, once again, the FA does family activities for the most part at school. You'll also have some that are organized by the school administration. And then family off campus, once again, that's probably going to be more of a class representative organization. If anyone here who is not a class representative would like to help organize any of those types of activities, feel free to connect with your class representative and let them know, and they can work with you or have you start to organize it, and then they will help get the word out to folks. So don't feel like if you're not a class representative that you can't spearhead something like that if you're interested in doing so. Just make sure that you touch base with your class representative and go from there. And then the last one that's listed, which is the discussion, book club, etc., some sort of parent forum. That's something to talk about a little bit later on the agenda. So it looked like there was some pretty good interest in that. And so we'll talk about how that can develop as well. Are there any questions about that? All right. So I know I'm going fast, but I want to make sure we get through all of this so that everybody who has something maybe a little bit more exciting to talk about has time. So let's go through a couple of things before we get to our guests, Amy, Cece, and Saul and Ashley, who will be coming in a little bit. I'd like to give our homecoming representative an opportunity to share about what's going on, how to get involved, all of that good stuff, and then we'll let other folks who have something to share on their end.
Good morning, I am Christina Grossman. As I introduced myself, I am the Homecoming Festival Chair for the Family Association. To re-emphasize what Margaret shared, this event is not a fundraiser for the Family Association. It is actually, we have the privilege to host this event for the students. This is the opportunity and the platform where our students, our student groups, our organizations and clubs are able to learn how to fundraise for their organization. It's part of the learning experience and a milestone for them to learn how to do this. And so they have taken the responsibility of how to advocate for their club, how to fundraise, and what activities they will have for their club groups. And so, so that is the ultimate goal. And also, it's to provide that environment that's a bit of fun. So we have inflatables, food, club booths, we have sports, we have the sports games going on at the same time. So it's a family event. We also have alumni that is invited. And so we want to be able to have this be a successful event and have the organizations meet their goals for their fundraising. So this is why it is very important for parents, friends, families to sign up to volunteer to help. And there will be many opportunities. We have a couple of Sundays for setting up or decorating before Spirit Week, and also the Sunday after to help with the takedown of equipment and so forth. The date of the Homecoming Festival is set for Friday, September 27th. Please be on the lookout for Sign Up Genius. We are hoping to have this completed by the end of this week. And there will be more opportunities to volunteer. We really, really need your help. It is so much fun. It's a lot of work and a lot of activity, but it's very worth it. Also, let's see. Please also be on the lookout via email about additional information regarding the specifics. So we not only want you to volunteer, but we want you to attend with your families and your kids to come to the Homecoming Festival. And so we will share out times, food prices, what food will be available to purchase, and also ticket prices and wristbands ahead of time, and forms of payments that are accepted, just so that you have the time to also plan. And we hope to see all of you at the Homecoming Festival. It's fun, and we really, really appreciate having this privilege to support our kids to fundraise for their clubs. If you have additional questions, please email the Family Association, or if you see me on campus, it's okay to just say hello and we can start talking and you can get my contact information. And so, so I think that's about it. Yes? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Al, I will say that the Homecoming Festival is probably one of the most fabulous ways to connect with other families. So whether you're volunteering or you're attending, you'll have a chance to mix with all different grades, entire families, kids, younger kids who don't even go here yet. So it's just a great way to kind of build your relationships, if nothing else. But of course, volunteering is very important. So yes, please keep your eyes open for that Sign Up Genius, because there will be opportunities to volunteer that day, as Christina said, for setup before the festival and or during the festival. So you can kind of pick and choose what works for you guys. Any questions on that? Any questions from anybody online?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Well, then Tanis, I think I'm going to hand it over to you, because the next item on our agenda is supporting the TGS faculty, and that includes our lunchtime volunteers. So I'll let you go ahead and talk about that.
First of all, I want to thank the class reps who've already done that. You said this, but back to school gatherings, that's cool. I think there's a few more coming up, so that's always a nice kind of kickoff to get to know other students, other parents. Also, I wanted to thank, I know like Layla's here, and a few others who have signed up to help out with lunchtime. So on Tuesdays, there's an all faculty, right? Am I saying that right? Faculty staff meeting, and it goes from around 11:30 to 12:30, and it's the only time that they can kind of all get together. So we've asked people to volunteer on the middle school side, just to kind of watch things. Kids are on the playground, and then for someone to sit in the library. So if anyone else is interested in that, please email me. You do have to do a background check, but it's not a huge process, as I understand.
That would be something there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I also wanted to talk about other opportunities to volunteer here on campus. Last year, we put out a survey, and then again at the beginning of this year, to all faculty, teachers, to see if they needed any parent help. So I have a list of the people who need help. If this is something you're interested in, I don't want to go down and just, all 20 things, but if it's something you're interested in, please email me or come see me. It's making copies, it's helping out in the art classroom with the art teacher on a few days. So there are different opportunities where you could get into the classroom, which is pretty cool. There are a couple opportunities that do not require a background check. So if that's something you don't want to do, then you could assist in that way. Well, no, sometimes they want to get their information. I don't know. But others, you will have to get a background check, which is painless. So come see me if you're interested in doing any of that kind of volunteer work here on campus. Any questions about being a volunteer or? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, and I just wanted to find out if any of the class reps who are here, if there's anything that you'd like to share about something that's happening in your grade, or if you just want to mention the back to school activity that you've already done, if anybody would like to share about what's happened or happening in their grade.
Oh, sorry.
Teresa, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure.
I'll just name that.
Yeah, thank you. So we did have our back to school sort of welcome. We had half the families come at least, so it was really great. And then something that I want to point out that Carla suggested, and we're trying to get the class more involved with each other and the school. We're picking out several sporting events throughout the year and encouraging everybody to come to the games so that we have some fans in the stands and that they're also there to cheer on their fellow classmates. And so if any of the other class reps are here that would like to help, or just participate with that, Carlos and I, we've gone through the list and looked for some good candidates. And then we're just sending out emails to the class, just saying, hey, we're all going to be at the volleyball game Friday or whatever that is. Just to encourage attendance. So that's great.
Thanks for doing that. Don't be upset if we don't come because my kids are in other sports.
Yeah, no, I know.
Then I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing too, is that there are so many kids that are in sports, and so there's probably a small subset that aren't. And so that's where having other grades involved will help bolster that participation.
And maybe Tanis, that's something that we can share with all of the class reps since they're not all here today, and then they can connect with you guys to help build that.
Oh, I'm here for Sally from the grade.
Okay.
Able to make it. But Sally actually hosted a pool party at her house, and the whole grade came with siblings and parents, and it was just such a great gathering, and everybody was just so bonded and so collectively excited to be here at Gregory, and it's just wonderful. And I'll recommend that to Sally about staying after school for school events. That's a great way to get people to be able to hang out.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Molly.
Hi, I'm not the 11th grade representative, but I am working with the 11th grade representative. Her name's Megan Wood. And we are putting together a little donut bagel food when you drop off your kids thing for the juniors. so they can all have time to just like, hey, how you doing? Grab some donuts and go to class. So I think that's gonna happen on the 27th. And Megan would be the person to talk to if you want to help. So.
Okay, so if you have an 11th grader, keep your eyes open for an announcement with more details on the
Yes.
date for sure, time.
Yeah.
And if you, okay, great. And then if anybody wants to be involved in helping to set that up or run it, feel free to email us and we'll connect you with Megan, the 11th grade class rep. All right. Is there anybody else?
Well, we are planning something similar, like she said, in the morning for 9th grade. Probably, I'm just gonna talk to Mary after the meeting and see what day works.
Okay, great.
And send out emails.
Okay, so 9th graders, keep your eyes open. And if you have them in both grades, we'll. Don't ignore those. Is there anybody else who wants to share?
So we don't have anything planned,
Okay,
but I very much want to do something.
okay.
Right, doing curriculum night, you come and you see all the parents from the grade, and it's like just a bunch of fantastic people. And you have 3 minutes to catch up.
Yeah.
Rooms, and so it's like, we have to do something. So it's on my radar, but there's nothing planned, but you will see emails.
Okay, and if there's any other 8th grade parents here, feel free to connect with Zach or email us and we'll connect you with Zach so that you can help that effort along. Is there anyone else or anyone online as a class rep who wants to? Then I am just, before we get to our guest speakers, we've got 2 last agenda items. One is to just let any committee chairs who want to share. Christina has already talked about homecoming because that's our first big event that's coming up really quickly. But we do have other committees. So our performing arts committee, if you want to, do you want to say anything, Megan? Got anything that's happening? Okay. Well, and Fernanda, who is also a co-chair of performing arts. I don't think she's here and I don't know if she's online. But for the theater, just to give you guys a heads up, if you haven't already seen, the first performance that's coming up is next month, towards the end of the month, October 24th and 5th. I hope I have those dates right. As You Like It is being performed in the theater. So make sure if you're interested in that or spread the word, you can buy your tickets on the TGS store on the website, or you can always purchase them at the box office that night. And anything else about any other committee chairs? Do you want to say anything at this point, Sabrina?
Well, the farmer's market, for anyone who doesn't know, it's a fabulous event. It happens the week of Thanksgiving, and we'll ask for donations from families of food, and we set up a farmer's market kind of set up on the grass out there, and every faculty and staff member in the school has the opportunity to come and shop for free and get food for their families for the Thanksgiving celebration. And it's a really wonderful event. So obviously that's a little ways out, but just keep an eye out for those emails. Again, we'll have sign-up sheets for people to volunteer to bring food or to volunteer to come and help set it up and take it down and that sort of thing. Yeah. So it's a great way to appreciate our faculty and staff.
When is this happening again, sorry?
It's the week of Thanksgiving, it's the Tuesday.
The Tuesday, it'll be that Friends and Family Day.
Yeah, Friends and Family Day.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Did I miss anybody who might want to share about their committee or their grade? Okay, so last, before we get to our guest speakers, is the discussion. We'd just like to have a brief discussion about the possibility of creating a parent reading group or some sort of discussion forum for parents, not necessarily led by the FA, but I'll let Margaret talk about that a little bit so we can get some interest going.
Yeah, I'll just briefly mention at the end of last year at a few gatherings, some parents were sort of just chatting with one another. I was one of them, about possibilities for kind of like a book club or a discussion group. At the time, we were working, the school was working on, so I had a school search, and we're, as we were approaching the end of the year, we were learning that we had an interim head, which we're very grateful that you're here. And so some of the discussion was about, you know, how can the community kind of navigate this big transition? And so some of the things that people were throwing around was, you know, maybe parents could talk to one another about how the community could support an interim head and then eventually a new permanent head. People were talking about other topics that tend to come up with parents, right? People mentioned things like technology, social media, just sort of parenting things in general. But there were lots of sort of interests that there seemed to be kind of a desire for parents to kind of have a time where they could be with other parents in their community, you know, just to chat, to hang out. Maybe it's based on a book, maybe it's based on an article, maybe somebody comes in, and I think the particulars kind of are vast, but we wanted to just sort of judge. As I said, this was at the very end of last year, so things were a little bit crazy, and then of course we all broke for the summer. So we just wanted to judge to see, is that something that folks would go to, are you looking for that kind of a venue, that kind of an activity? And if so, then, you know, we can, as Kelly said, we don't necessarily have to be the host of it, but we could help other folks do it. I'm certainly interested. So I would be happy to help work on that. So I guess maybe just a show of hands, is that a kind of thing that people feel is interesting to them? That's something that they might like to do with other parents in our community? Okay, so we have some, okay, the interest is growing by the moment. Okay.
Someone online said they would be interested as well.
Okay, great.
Two people.
I think, Kelly, do you think that, should I send something like through the FA that's sort of a gathering email of interested folks? So, yeah, so stay tuned for maybe an FA message that you can reply to if it's something that you're interested in, and we can sort of gather folks together and then talk more about what specifics people might be interested in. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much. Our guest speakers, I'd like to give you a chance to speak now. Let's start off with Cece, who is here from the Board of Trustees.
I know.
We've got the camera on.
Sorry, I apologize to them.
Hi,
Please.
everyone. If I stand, am I gonna miss you?
We'll adjust it. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Kelly asked me to come and just kind of give you a couple of updates from the Board of Trustees. We don't have a whole lot to report because we're just getting started, just like the rest of you. So some of you may have heard me talk about the annual fund at Curriculum Night. Our advancement committee is, as we speak, gathering their resources and trying to put together the campaign that will roll out very soon. We'll have much more news about that as it comes, but advancement annual fund is coming. It's going to be something in your inbox, something that will be talked about to you in a number of different ways. So please be on the lookout for that. The other thing, and I don't know if Amy's going to talk about it, but a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, everybody was sent a survey in your email to complete for the parent portion of our accreditation self-study. Our reply window is closing, so I think it's the 9th. Is it the 9th? September 9th?
Yes.
So please, if you haven't responded to that survey, please do so. It's really important for our accreditation that we have as much feedback from our different communities as possible. And then the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is the head of school search. So they mentioned, Margaret mentioned, we are still in the process of looking for our permanent head of school. Hopefully you all received an email from us yesterday talking about these site visits. We are on a really short timeline, so I can't share anything about finalists with you right now because we don't know who they are. The search committee is still conducting interviews. We'll be doing those this weekend and then determining who our finalists will be.
So at this point, we have set aside 3 days in anticipation of 3 finalists who will be visiting campus. So we just wanted to make sure that you have the information in front of you as to what those dates are. So in case you didn't see the email, we are inviting candidates to be on campus Thursday, September 12th, Monday, September 16th, and Thursday, September 19th. On each of those days, there's a parent town hall that I believe Kelly is moderating for us from 2 to 3 p.m. in the dining hall. So that's an opportunity for everybody to meet the candidate of the day. They'll have a brief presentation at the beginning of that session and then open it up for questions. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to know about their style of leadership, how they're going to be as a potential head of school here, that's your opportunity to meet them. So we encourage you all to attend and participate as much as possible because we want to make sure we get somebody good here. So once we have identified the final candidates, you'll also be getting some more information about them. So they're all going to be asked to prepare a 1-page introduction to who they are, and we'll send those out to you. Can you please repeat the dates? Sure. It's Thursday, September 12th, Monday, September 16th, and Thursday, September 19th. So you can see it's next week, so it's really, really fast. So that's why we wanted to get it all on your calendars even before we open the finals. Any questions?
Thank you. And now we have Ashley and Saul from the TGS Counseling Department. Where would you guys like to be? I don't want to make you split that, Janice. Why don't you hand it to me? Stand in this corner. Okay. Stand in the corner. Okay.
Good morning. Thanks for reaching out and having us come and introduce ourselves. So I'm Ashley Mason, one of the counselors.
My name is Saul Oshbach, one of the counselors.
So I'm here in the mornings and then Saul comes overlap over lunch and then he's our afternoon counselor. So there's always one of us here on campus. So we just wanted to share a little bit about how we help our students here at the Gregory School. So we will meet with students one-on-one to provide, different kinds of support. Maybe they're struggling in their classes or feeling stressed about school or having anxiety, peer concerns, a wide range of things. I also assist with our accommodation plans. So if your child is needing some extra support, I'm the point person for that. We also can help facilitate communication between teachers and parents about students. So, if there's something coming up of concern, just making sure that that's being communicated across the students and team. And then something that, or just kind of in the planning stages, doing some counseling groups. So kind of seeing what's coming up and offering, middle school and upper school groups maybe during lunch to provide support maybe for anxiety or, different things that our students are dealing with. So
Thank you. I'm fortunate to work with your students and Ashley. And I just wanted to share a couple of things, my philosophy, if I may. One is this book, Raising Mentally Strong Kids. It's Love and Logic. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it just shows a lot of compassion, but it also allows children to experience natural consequences, logical consequences. And if they can experience that now, it's a lot less expensive than when they get older. Another thing I do is, I ask your students sometimes, what gets you out of bed in the morning? And what got me out of bed in the morning is today, Ashley and I are going to be meeting with a group of 6th graders, some of them new, some of them veteran students, and we'll be having lunch together and doing some activities and just helping people make social connections. We are social beings and we need that for our emotional health. This book, Learning to Play, Playing to Learn, happens to be written by two psychiatric nurses here in Tucson, Charlie Steffens and Spencer Moran. Spencer's currently at the U of A, and it's just simple philosophy. We play to have fun, and the most important part of the game is the people. The people are the most important part of the game. And then we only have two rules. If someone is hurt physically or emotionally, the closest person takes care of them. And if there's an argument, we take it out of the game. And I'm probably giving you too much information, but this philosophy and these rules seem to have like settled 90% of the conflicts. And I really enjoy working with your children. Thank you.
I just wanted to add before you guys have questions. So if you have concerns with your child, you're welcome to send either one of us, both of us, an email. That's how we get some of our referrals. Sometimes kids will just stop by and need to chat. So just know that we're here to support you as well. I do have just a quick question. So last year with our teachers, we did a PD, and I worked with a group of therapists outside of school, and they came and talked to our teachers about what stress looks like, and they do a lot around trauma and what that does to our bodies, and how social media impacts. So it was a great conversation with our teachers, and a lot of them said this would be great for the parents too. So I met with one of them recently, and I told them I would be seeing you all. And so if that is something, if you guys would be interested in some kind of support and what area specifically that might look like for you, and then I could bring that back to them and we could plan like a workshop.
That could be our first parent.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that could tie in nicely with what we were just talking about, having like a parent group gather, and that could be like a presentation, and the parents could talk with the person and together, and yeah.
So just putting that out there, and feel free to send emails, so that's probably a better space, but just super, on the radar. And
yeah, I just right away thought, perhaps something nice to do is, you guys maybe see our kids or know our kids in a different way. So if you could, when you come across an article that's interesting, maybe send it over to this group, and then the email could go to the whole school, and that would get that discussion going, and then the smaller group if we wanted to dive deeper. But it'd just be nice to have parents have that kind of resources, and when you guys come across something like, oh, this is really, really helpful, that conversation could get going for everybody.
I will just say that Ashley and Saul do send out, I know like last year, there were often links to webinars or resources.
There's like a counseling section, so sometimes we'll put.
So look for that, yeah.
Molly, sorry.
Good question. Confidentiality. Do you follow the same ideas as certified counselors where everything is confidential unless they're gonna hurt somebody themselves? Do you follow that philosophy as well, so that when your other kids have somebody for you to talk to, there won't be questions?
Yes.
Thank you.
I just want to say that I really appreciate the updates on the website, on the school website regarding counseling. And, just to emphasize more with those articles, we can find them on the page if that fits as well.
Yes, I just wanted to know if like this get together that is happening with the sixth graders, does that happen with every other grade as well?
Absolutely. We have a high school one coming up, and today will be the sixth grade. So yeah, we have those things.
So sometimes it'll be a mix of grades, not just necessarily focused on one specific. So we've done that before too.
Thank you.
So the first book that you recommended.
Raising Mentally Strong Kids by Dr. Amen and Dr. Faye. And again, it's that love and logic. And again, if like something happens, just to give you a scenario, if I may give you for love and logic. If, let's say, there's a science project due, and it's due tomorrow, and your child had 2 weeks to prepare. And it's like, Mom, Dad, I have a science project that's due tomorrow. Okay, how are you gonna solve that? Meaning that we want to be empathetic, you know, I'm so sorry that you didn't have enough time to prepare, but not saving your child, letting your child experience that consequence of not planning, of procrastinating. Because it's much less expensive to do that now in the 6th grade or the 8th grade or the 10th grade than when they become adults. And so we're trying to teach them again through logical and natural consequences, but again, really having empathy, not thinking, it's like, no, I'm sorry to hear that. And it looks like you'll be working later tonight.
Just out of curiosity, are you going to try and assist the kids with trying to balance technology with personal interaction, especially on campus when they have the ability to use phones, but at the same time, they should be trying to make friends as well too?
I mean, I think some of our handbook changes this year was kind of to eliminate the AirPods and the lunch line and kind of hopefully foster a little bit more of an interaction so they're not looking down at their phone. It's so easy to, you know, if you're uncomfortable in a situation, to just look at your phone and not do that. So, and I think playing explorations and when we do like some wellness things, those are always, you know, on our minds of how we do that. So.
And I think that's the most fun, you know, the other day we did a prickly pear lemonade activity in an advisory, where the whole advisory had to come together to harvested the prickly pear cactus. We had to get the thorns off. But the most important thing wasn't the end product, which was wonderful and tasty, but it was that coming together, working with whether it's 12 or 13 students, and this one's doing the harvesting, and this one's taking care of the thorns, and this one's pressing it, this one's mixing it. And then we also had them serve. You know, we have this wonderful dining hall. The food is just amazing. I've been in different schools, and this is like the best food ever. And so we wanted to do a role reversal where the students, and they were on board with this, like, we're going to serve the dining room team. Before we serve ourselves, we're going to serve others. And they were ready to do that. They were ready to give to others. And it just, you know, there was no conflict about that, just there. I think our kids want to engage with others. I think they'd rather be engaging and talking to each other and playing with each other. And again, I'm a big proponent of play. I just think we need to do that. We need to have fun in a very healthy way. And so, I went off topic.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys coming in. This has been fabulous. Thank you so much for asking all the questions you had. I don't want to cut this short. We can certainly create another time when you guys can have a discussion if Ashley and Saul are available to do that. But I do want to give Amy a little bit of time. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See me on there, I'm here as well. I had such a nice warm welcome to Tucson and to TGS, so thank you all. This is a really special place, and I think you've chosen well. You did your homework when you chose the school for your children, and there's good reason for that. This is my 43rd year as an educator, and I've been in lots of different schools, and I will tell you that I've never seen the quality of the instruction as I have in the school anyplace else. The teachers here are so passionate, and it's not just, you know, a one and done kind of thing. I've had a chance to observe in lots of classrooms. I still have lots more to go because so many of our teachers teach multiple things, and so I want to get in and see everything that they teach. But your children are so engaged in the learning that's happening. And so, and I just think that speaks so well of the whole community. And so the relationships here are really strong. That's the most important piece. And just like Ashley and Saul just spoke of engaging with one another, we really are social beings. It's not always easy. I tend to be in that introvert range. And, but I live in the extrovert range, Monday through Friday, but on the weekend, I might be invisible. So that might be some of you or your children too, but it's, I do love people and I love being together and seeing people together. And that's how most of our children are too. They really, you talked about, what gets you up in the morning. It's not, and I'm not picking on a particular class, but it's not math. It's each other, right? They come to school because they want to be with people and they want to be with people who are fun, and the teachers are fun, but they also are just really amazing educators. So you really are fortunate in the school. I think you already know that. I'm just reinforcing that for you. I found so many good things at the school, and some of the ways that we're going to celebrate those good things are through this year's self-study. Every 10 years, our school goes through a full accreditation process. There's something that they do every year as an independent school, but every 10 years is a bigger year. And so this is the 10th year, and that means that we do a self-study. And so Beth Kane is leading our steering committee, and we have lots of committees. Every person in the school that works here is really engaged in this study. And you are too, in the ways that you filled out the survey. Please do that. Like Cece asked, if you have not done that yet, that helps us tremendously. The faculty and staff do a survey, the board does a survey, and all of that is really intended to make us better. So the group that I'm speaking of that oversees this accreditation is the Independent School Association of the Southwest. And that's the accrediting piece of the larger association, which is NAIS, which is the National Association of Independent Schools. And there are accrediting agencies across the country. Different regions have, ISACS is the region that covers the Midwest, and there's others for different parts of the country. But ISAS, with NAIS is kind of the parent company, if you will, is the gold standard for independent schools. They have really high standards, and so we always aspire to be better. We never feel like we're perfect or that we're done, and we want to get better each year. And so this self-study process is how they help us get better. So we will spend this year in evaluating ourselves, and we will try to see how true to our mission we are. We will address each of the standards that the association has, and we will say, do we do this? Are we measuring up to what the standard is, the best practice standards? And so in that process, we might say, well, we're okay, but maybe we could be better here. What do we need to do differently? And so we might change an approach to something. It might be an approach to teaching. It might be an approach to a policy or a procedure, or a way that they look at everything. They look at facilities, they look at our finances, they look at our governance model, they will look at the program, which is really all of the academic piece that we have at the school. Every piece of this will be examined by us first. And so everything that will be decided in the end will probably be things that we have recognized ourselves. And that's the way it should really be, that we see in ourselves what we need to do a little differently maybe. And so next year in the fall, we don't have an exact date yet, but we should know that pretty soon. A team of our peers from other ISAS schools will come on campus, and they'll be here for 3 days. They'll come on a Sunday and have a little reception, tour the campus. On Monday and Tuesday, they will do their work of really examining all parts of the school. They will talk to all of the faculty and staff. They'll talk to the board. They'll meet with the parents. They'll meet with students, which is always the favorite part. Is usually they have lunch with students, different groups of students. That's always the best. And I've served on lots of committees, and that's just the most engaging piece. And then at the end of that process, they will write a report.
And on the final day, on the Wednesday, there'll be a time for the committee chair, the visiting committee chair, to meet with the head of school, the board chair, and some other key members of the community. Then they will meet with the faculty and just kind of give an overarching report of the high points, the overarching recommendations, not every single thing. And then the school has 10 years to address each of those recommendations. So it's not something that happens overnight. They're not going to say, you have to make this total transformation. It's not going to be that way. They're really going to commend the school on all the things that are really going well, that they want the school to be recognized for, and then those recommendations are things that need to be addressed. But they're not going to be things that are going to be shocking, because they will have been identified in the self-study by the faculty and staff. So I think it's a wonderful process. I've done it in my own schools that I've worked in the past. I've been the steering committee chair. I've put together that report. It is a labor of love, and it's a really important piece that just holds us all accountable and makes us want to be a better school. So I'm glad to be here this year during that process. People may think that's a little odd. This is a lot of work, but it's really very satisfying to see a school and the growth that takes place that way. So thank you for the piece that you're doing already, contributing to that. Your surveys go straight to ISAS. They give us a summary report, and that will tell us what you think, and again, give us more input on areas that we might be able to improve. So that's what we will put a lot of emphasis on this year. The number one thing that we're all going to be responsible for this year and through the school year is doing everything we can to make the permanent head of school successful. That's really the job that we are all here for, because the school is a wonderful place and you all are invested in it. And we want to be invested in that permanent head as well and make him or her successful and fall in love with you just like I have. So that's the job. Okay. Anybody have questions or anything that I can answer? And this group is so wonderful. I have to tell you that a family association is so vital to the school. It's such an important job. And as volunteers, all of you, I think you know this, but research really does say a lot about the experience that your own children get and their pride in you. I mean, there's nothing quite so special. They might not say it because they're teenagers, right? But they really do love that you are involved in their school and that you know what's going on. I've always told people that you can be one of two kind of parents. You can either be an ostrich with your head in the sand, and maybe your children want you to be an ostrich sometimes, or you could be a ferret and you're all over the place. But as far as knowing what's going on with them, you don't have to tell them you know, but you just have to know. And so I've raised, I think, two pretty good kids. It wasn't always easy, but they've gotten there and they're productive adults, and that's always the goal, right? It's hard to push them out of the nest, but that's what they're here for, is for you to make it possible for them to go off and do their own thing and be accountable and suffer some consequences. As hard as it is, it's hard to not run out and get that poster board at midnight. But don't do it. You'll be doing it for the rest of the year. And I have a son who is the most challenging of my two, or the more challenging, who's only two. And the teacher in me wanted to make him use a ruler to write that on the poster every time, and I just had to, it was so hard. I wanted it to be pretty, right? It wasn't, but he got it done. So that's the best part, is if they do it, right? That's where they're learning. And he's now a teacher. So, so go figure, right? But thank you all. Really glad you're here.
Thank you.
Very much to everybody who showed up to speak. I appreciate that. Of course, thank you to everyone who has shown up to hear everything. Before we adjourn, are there any questions that you guys need to throw out? Are there any suggestions or requests for topics or speakers that you'd like to see at our next meetings? And if you don't want to throw it out now, or it doesn't occur to you, yes, ma'am.
To mention this to you. Some of us, I know Allison, you read Anxious Generation this summer. If you haven't read that, I mean, it doesn't have to be a book study, but highly recommend Anxious Generation. And if you do decide you want to do a book study or something, sometimes I recommend doing a book talk. You kind of read the book independently or just come so people don't feel pressured. I've done book studies when a lot of people come the first time and they feel if they haven't kept up and read and they feel guilty and they don't come. So even just a book talk sometimes is helpful. So if you're interested in that, some of us have read that this summer, so very worthwhile.
Yeah. There's also a lot online of like summaries and reviews. So if you don't have time for the whole book, you can also.
It's okay. You can also get great.
Yes.
Okay, well, and feel free, as I've said multiple times, feel free to email us with any questions, any suggestions or requests that you have, and we will try to address those ourselves or connect you with the right person. Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna say really quickly, there's treats in the back, help yourself on the way out. And also, Saul mentioned the great food at Sage Dining. If you wanna try it yourself, the lunchtime volunteers get to eat before they.
Yes.
Oh, yes. That's
You
important.
just have to show up a few minutes early and then you can. And then just as you're running out the door, our next meeting will be October 9th. That will be on Zoom at 6 o'clock in the evening. And of course, we'll send out more information in the link later. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
Have a great day.
What happened to